Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for joining us. If you like crafts and furniture refinishing and I don't know, whatever I get up to here in the shop, don't forget to subscribe, keep us coming at you. Today is kind of a mishmash of different thrifted items, meaning this. I thrifted this big straw wreath. I've never used a straw wreath before, but I saw it. And I figured I would figure something. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to be unwrapping this for a while. But I thought it would be perfect for some fall decor. And I get the summer's not quite over, but a fall is coming. And if you're like me, it means you gotta get busy doing stuff now, or fall is over and you haven't done anything. So I had to get started on some stuff for the shop because soon it'll be Halloween stuff, and then Thanksgiving, and then it's Christmas, and I haven't even started. So I have this, and I figured that my best bet with this was to use some floral picks, which are little picks shaped like this. I'm thinking this is going to end up killing my hands before I'm done, my fingers, so I may have to space it out. That feels like that's going to... But let me show you the cool thing that I thrifted. And I thrifted 2 of these. Were bundles of these. How awesome, right? Like, they're woven, they're tied up in bundles. These are, they still have the original tag of, so it's called Woven Grass Small Bundle. Small bundle, this is a small bundle. For $19 from Urban Barn right at home. Okay, so that's where they came from. That's not where I got them. I don't even know Urban Barn. I don't shop anywhere but thrift stores. That's really kind of sad. Well, it's not sad. That's my fun place. That I get excited. But there you go. Urban Barn, woven grasses, and well, here I have one bundle undone because I didn't know if they were all sewn together. They seemed all separate, and they are. So each of them, the center is kind of tied together. So there's a bundle around the outside, then the center is all wired together. And there's some dowels in there holding some sticks, holding them more upright, giving them a little bit of substance. So, you know, these are just bonus. I'll be able to do some cool Christmas tree stem stuff with these. So that's always exciting when I get like a bonus craft item from them. But what I was thinking is doing a wreath with these wrapped all the way around and this coming out the side like sunflowers. I thought that would be cool. I'm hoping to be able to nab this with one pin. And I'd kind of like to angle it, but I might not be able to angle it. Okay, I'm just going straight because I think they're too short to be angled. All right, that's not working. Okay, let me just get the glue gun fired up here because I may have to do a combo. All right, glue gun is warming as we speak. I found a new glue gun that I want to buy, but I put it on my Christmas list because I always just buy these things when I think of it, and then people yell at me when it gets time for Christmas that I'm not supposed to buy them. I'm supposed to put it on my list. So I'm gonna hang out with this one for the next little while. And then I'll be frustrated because nobody will buy it off my list and I have to go buy it anyway, in which case then I think, why the heck didn't I buy it to begin with? And then I don't put anything on my list again because nobody buys from my list. It's like this never-ending little thing. Okay, I managed to do that without glue. You end up with a lot of little pieces of straw. Okay, so this is my thinking. If I can get one there, and I nestle the next one up nice and tight. Then okay, I want to get those guys pushed in better. Okay, I'm thinking that could be very cool. I am just hoping, this is going to take a lot, so I'm hoping 2 goes all the way around. Because in my head, I'm thinking that would be it, that I might not do anything else. If they don't go all the way around, then I'll have to figure out something to do for the gap. So I'm just gonna play it by ear and see how it goes. But so far, this is looking a lot like it should have. Like it's looking like what was in my head. And I love that because usually my head is just a scary place and nothing ever looks like it. Oh, see, that one didn't catch. I'm thinking that I need to glue that bottom guy because I don't think I'm going to be able to catch him properly. And these kind of unwind. So I don't think a little glue is going to hurt in the grand scheme of things. So what I'm going to do is glue that end down, and then I will pin the top down. Let's see how that goes. I'm thinking that the glue and the pins in tandem is the way to go. And so just, you know, for ease of timing, since I have to kind of hold them a little bit, I am taking 2 ends and holding them in place. Careful with my fingers, but I say that every time and inevitably burning myself anyway. All right, so I'm gluing the ends down and holding them in place because they're pretty tough little guys. And then I'm taking the pins, and I just got a big box of these off of Amazon. So these are 1.7-inch fluoro pins. Okay, there you go. And then I'm just using these to catch them. Then I can kind of catch 2 together. Awesome. What I like about using the straw is that it still has kind of that natural look behind it. So that anything that shows through, okay, I missed that guy. I'm gonna pin him instead. So anything that shows through, if I don't get those little straw guys together, and this is the way to go too. I mean, if you want to double up on your pins, you could certainly pin the end down and then pin the tops down. Now my top's loose. Okay, so I'm going to be at this for a while, it looks like. until I get the swing of it. Yeah, I'm not very far along and I've changed what I was doing. So what I am doing now is I am still gluing the ends and anchoring them in with a pin. And I'm gonna leave that pin. For these top pieces, I am now hot gluing them into place. Oh, I need another stick. Come on, there we go. Okay, so I'm hot gluing them into place, nice and snug. And then I am taking a pin and I am anchoring them, but that's to hold them while my glue dries. Then I can go back and I can take those pins out and it is holding in place. Now let me tell you about the reason why. I didn't like seeing the pins. That could just be a me thing, but it just wasn't visually appealing. Even when you try and tuck them away, you could see that glint of silver, which just didn't really fit with kind of the natural look of the grasses, right? So if you don't care, you can leave the pins in. If you are, if you're like me, then glue them down. They're holding just fine. I'm still leaving the pins in the underside because you can't see them, and that's just extra, just a little bit of extra anchoring for some of the weight, as you're twisting it away. And because you can't see it, I'm cool with that. But I didn't like seeing the silver pins on the top. And so this seems to be working. And so I like it better. Okay, so in the spirit of full disclosure and of us going on a learning journey together, I wanted to let you know this isn't working. So let me share with you what the dilemma is and what I think I have to do to fix it before I rip these all off of here. So here's what's happening. These all look good. It all looks great. If I could do this all the way around, it'd be awesome. But what happens is smaller circumference, bigger circumference. So doing these all straight up and down doesn't cut it. Because now a next row doesn't fit without going over top of this one. And that's not the look that I'm after. I wanted it a little bit more flat. So flat isn't gonna work. They have to overlap somewhere, somehow. So I'm gonna rip these out and I'm gonna do them over with a slight overlap and see if kind of overlapping in here and not overlapping out here deals with the smaller inner circumference versus outer circumference. So slight overlap on the inside, flat on the outside maybe gives me enough to be able to fit them around and still get kind of that look I'm after, because I'm loving this. It's just this part isn't working. So I wanted to share with you, that's my learning so far. This doesn't work this way. And what I'm thinking I need to do to fix it. So I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to start reattaching and re-gluing how I think I need to do it. And we'll see if that gives me the room to maneuver around and do it. If not, I'll be coming back at you with a partially done wreath saying that's not working either. And see what other idea I've come up with. But I wanted to share this with you, that, sometimes, like, I'm coming on and I'm telling you, look, this is the first time I'm doing this. I'm just figuring this out. I'm just trialing this. I'm being honest with you. One, because I don't want you to think I do everything perfectly, or everybody that you're watching on YouTube is doing everything perfectly. And gee, they're so good at this. They're so talented. I'm not as good as them. I'm not as talented. They're editing all of their mistakes out. They are messing up and they're not showing you. I just believe in showing you. This is my learning. And I want you to see that things are fixable. Things are figure outable. If this doesn't work the way that I want it to, then I will figure something else out. These are still awesome. I'm still going to use them. And if I can't get it to look exactly like what I want, then I'll figure out some other look to take advantage of it. And if we need 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 tries, then I'm going to show them all to you. So hang in there. I'm going to rip these off. It does mean there's going to be hunks of glue that I'm going to be covering up, but I never intended for all of this straw to show anyway, so it's okay. So apart from it's never fun to take apart your work, let's chalk it down to a learning experience. Positive, we grow. We grow from these learning opportunities. We'll see how this one goes. I'll be back at you. All right, gang, I think I have this working well. So this is where I am so far. And I seem to be managing kind of the turns and keeping it fairly flat, which is what I wanted. I tried doing the overlap thing and it just, to my eye, looked wrong. So if it works for you, go for it. But what I'm doing is this. I am taking one of my strands and I am just tucking the end under, and I'm just trying to make sure that the ends here are lining up fairly evenly. I don't want to have major short one and then have to do tons of trimming back. I like the length, so I'm trying to keep that. So I'm kind of doing it, you can see maybe here, I'm leaving a little bit of a gap, but what's happening is that when I go back, these ones were still drying, hence the pins. Then I unweave it closer up and you really don't see the gap. So I'm trying to keep it tight here and then a little bit looser down toward the bottom. And I think that that's giving me that flexibility with that circumference difference, right? So I'm kind of gluing it. I'm taking a pin just to hold it. So this is my temporary pin. So it does my hold it for the glue to dry thing. And then every 2, so let me just push that nice and tight. Let me get one more on and then I'll show you what I'm doing. And you know what? What I learned from taking it apart was that glue is really holding. So it was not just a nice smooth process removing those that I'd previously glued and required a lot of cutting back afterward. But so you can see that there are some gaps here. You can see how it spreads out, and I'm trying to keep it nice and tight here. So every 2, what I do is I flip it on over, and then I take these, and now is where, if I need to, I kind of overlap. And then I am using, rather than more glue back here, because you can't see the pins, I am using the pins to hold this in place. And then sometimes they loosen a little bit as I go, so I just tighten them on up. I've been doing tons of flipping here. And there we go. And then these 2 are still holding my glue. I can take these guys out and I'll show you the zhuzhing. So you can see these are unraveled to about here. These still are long, but I just go and I'm unraveling them. There's a lot of strands in these, so it's a little bit awkward, but what it does do is then it fills in those gaps so that it looks nice and full and nice and natural. And that's working well for me. And I think I'm going to be able to get around. I'm definitely going to be going into the second bundle. Now, the other thing is I get this was just a unique find. And as much as I gave you where it came from, doesn't mean you're going to be able to find it because I don't know how old it is. But you can get woven ropes. You can do the same kind of thing with any kind of rope and then unravel it at the end. Get a different look, but it'd still be super cool. I just wanted to show you for this, for finishing off. I've kept this pretty flat and smooth all around that inner circumference. And here I'm just ending, but these sides kind of went out this way and I couldn't not overlap here and get all this covered. So what I elected to do was put one piece down in the middle of the gap, which filled in perfectly in the circumference here. And instead what I've done is I have cut my end of this to the right length, but I've pointed it. So what I'm going to do is put my hot glue in here and right down the middle. And I'm going to kind of push this into that angle and have it fill the gap. Now it's not quite filling, so I might do another little one coming down here. So what it will look like, so let me just fit that. This one I think is going to fit this one perfectly. So I'm just going to do another little one into that gap. And so from the top, it's going to look all smooth. And I'm not going to have a big bulge with something going over the top of it and sticking out, but it's going to allow kind of the visual that I was after. And I don't think that anyone is in fact going to notice that I pieced that all together. Okay, so this is our big wreath. Now, it is perfectly lovely as it is. And you could be done. So just having this big, natural looking wreath, you could be finished. I'm gathered together some florals. And what I thought that I'd do is maybe just kind of lay them out and decide what I'm going to do. Decide if I'm going to use them. So I had recently thrifted this grouping of all kind of naturals, which I think would be perfect on here. $4.50 less. Was this on Senior's Day? 30%. So dead cheap. So we've got a little bit of a couple of wood flowers. These things, they look like sponges. They look like sponges. So I thought, okay, I might lay some of those out and see. I have some of these, which are in the pail, and then I have one sunflower if I decide to go that route, and I have this little potted sunflower I could cut apart for small ones if I needed. I'm thinking I wouldn't do a lot, and I wanted it still in the natural tones, but I'm kind of digging the sunflower against this too. So I think what I'll do is just kind of lay this out. So I'm gonna lay them out where I did the joining, which, let me show you close up. See if you can see where that is. It's an awesome way to just kind of squeeze in those extra bits. I know it's there. Okay, so I think I'm going to start by pulling this guy apart. I guess. All right, so I quite like those guys. Now, obviously, these don't bend. So obviously they need to be cut down was what I was gonna say. And I'm not sure if they're too green or not. So if I was using them, they'd kind of go that way. And you know me, I like to kind of just loosely lay things out, get an idea of where they'd go, what they'd look like. You're just a stick. You're nothing. Like I liked those leaves, but there weren't any. So if I was doing leaves, they'd go down. That might go down. I quite like those. And my wreath is a little too rolly for everything to stay. And then what? Would I go this route? Okay. This is just kind of laid out, so if I touch them, they roll away. But I'm kind of thinking something like this. I may do 3 of those and then put this somewhere else if I use it. But I'm thinking kind of a little bit like this. And I went with the softer kind of goldy colors. They still fit in, but I think that going with, you know, like this color was just too harsh for that pale straw. And I think we play off on this a little bit better. So I'm gonna fire up the hot glue gun and start slowly putting this together, and hope it all works how it's looking in my head. We'll be back. I love this. I found I need a little bit of length here, so I found these little picks with balls in very muted colors, because this is all very muted. I did try and keep it fairly compact, more than usual. Like if I'm doing a floral wreath, I spread it out a lot more, but I wanted, after all the work of figuring this out and attaching these, I wanted you to see these, right? And I wanted the flowers to stay up so you could still see them behind the florals. So assuming this is dried and it's all going to stay in place, let me back up. See what you think. I mean, obviously you could hang it however you want. I'm a left person. Just aesthetically it works for me. But you know, I get people in the shop and they start twisting things around. So I designed it with the idea of it being left to right. That's what works for me in my head, because that's how I read. You will find that other cultures and just other creative brains see it differently. So you know, in this case, because it's an open circle, I'm not going to attach hanging hardware to it. This is straw, so they can stick things into it however they want. I will put a couple of picks with a bit of a rope in between on there, but I'm not going to anchor them in place so they can move it, so that it ultimately, I'll be picking off the little fairy hairs, the little glue hairs for a while. I'll take a closer pick, but yeah, let me know what you think, guys. All inspired by a thrift store find. And trust me, I found this early spring and I have been waiting to give this a try, because this is the perfect season that we're going into for this. So, you know, the big lesson here is you got to pick this stuff up when you see it. If you look at something and you're thinking that'd make something cool, and then you think, oh, I don't know what, and you're going to walk past, stop. What I'll make will come after, but you have to have the stuff for that later. You know, if I went looking for it now, I mean, I've never seen it before, I've never seen it since. So pick up just, you know, cool little things when you see them, when you find them. You know, I've got this little owl sitting here out of feathers that I saw, and he's a half one, right? So he's going to nestle into something so wonderfully, and look how adorable he is. I don't know what I'm going to do with him yet. I have them sitting out on the table so that, you know, inspiration may strike. He's just sitting there watching me do crafts in the meantime. So, you know, I've got a number of things like that I've got hanging around that I think are super neat, and didn't know what to do with them at the time I bought them, but it's an idea waiting to happen. I hope you let inspiration strike you that way. I hope you don't mind my taking you along on some of my creative journey here and showing you what doesn't work along the way. I think that's an important lesson. I think it's important for you to know things don't work out for me all the time. I have to figure out a different way to go, and that's okay. Nobody is doing this perfect. And if they're showing you that it's perfect every time out the gate, then they're lying. There's no other way around it. It doesn't matter about the mistakes and the learnings along the way. It matters how you feel about the finished product. And you may love this, you may hate this, but I love it. And that makes me happy. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in and sticking with me along this journey. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.